Welcome everyone to the platform update webinar for this quarter. For those of you who haven't joined before, this is a nice little showcase into what we've recently released and what will be coming up with in the near future. So it's a good sneak peek into all the little things that we're working on, plus in case you've missed anything over the last few months. So just a quick little bit of housekeeping here and there. So closed captions, feel free to switch this on within Zoom. We'll enable live transcript there. You can just follow the little CC icon to enable those. When we have the recording as well, that'll be distributed in a few days with subtitles included. Here's today's hosts. For those of you who have joined before, you'll recognize my face. I'm Z, Head Customer Success at Lumar. And we're joined today by Eric, Senior Customer Success Manager over on the East Coast. Eric, if you want to say a couple words, say hi to everyone.
Yeah, hello everyone. Happy to be here. Happy to show some of the new features that we've come out with. Obviously, really exciting stuff as we continue to try to just make the platform as useful and as better as we can, so everyone can find the issues that they need and fix everything that comes up.
Fantastic. So the agenda today, we just had instructions. We'll do a bit more housekeeping. We'll go over the improvements to the tool, any new releases from the last few months. We'll go into what's coming up in the next few months, and then we'll do a little bit of Q&A. So if you do have any questions, feel free to fire them into the chat or into there's like a Q&A feature as well. Yeah, anything that comes in mind, feel free to let us. So a bit of housekeeping, yeah. So questions I mentioned, please type those into the Q&A box. If there's anything based on what we've seen today, whether it's what Eric's going to go through with what we recently released or anything that's upcoming and the new. If you've got any feedback at the end, please feel free to complete the survey. It takes less than a minute, and it gives us a really good insight into how beneficial you're finding webinars like this and sort of your overall feedback that we can hopefully take on board. And then, as I mentioned before, this will be on demand. So if you can't catch all of it today, or you want to revisit it or share it, it'll be shared within the next few days. This is another reminder. In-app product updates, you can find these as you're using the tool and as you're jumping into the platform. You'll notice there's a little beacon in the bottom left of the screen. That will usually flash with like a red with a small white number in it. This is where you can find announcements if we do any improvements, if we do any fixes, if there's any updates to any of the reports and any release notes. That will all be there. We keep this regularly updated. A quick note as well, if you have an ad blocker, it might be blocking the beacon. So if you don't see it, that could be the reason why. So try disabling that first and then see if that shows up. And then we did the release review webinar back in January. So if you missed that, or you want to find out about the different updates that we had back then, ranging from the new task manager all the way through to the rate chart and crawl progress, you can access that on our website in the webinars and events in the resources section.
Cool.
So
Thanks.
What's new?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Z. So yeah, just diving into some of the new features that have been released in the past few months, like Z had mentioned. The first one being GA4 conversion data. So this is something to help improve prioritization by incorporating the conversion data from GA into your report. So you can see there are a few new metrics that are going to be included, which is the number of conversions and visits, number of primary conversions, conversion details, and primary conversion value. And we have two new reports as well. So that would be conversion pages with visits and non-conversion pages with visits. And as you can see here on the screenshot as well, on the left-hand side navigation under experience, you'll see a new dashboard called engagement that'll have these charts and high-level views from that information we pull on there. So you'll get more information, and within reports as well, as you can see with the other screenshot, we'll have a column for conversion data, number of conversions, conversions per visits, etc. So just a lot more information to go off of to help prioritize certain fixes with the GA4 connection that we already have. And one thing to note with this as well, Since we would be collecting more data from GA, if you include this on there, finalizing the crawls might take slightly longer because we just have to do that on the back end to finalize everything for you. So if you don't have Google Analytics, or if you're unable to upload it for whatever reason, integrate it into the tool, we also now have manual uploads with that. So it's the same step. So step 2 of the sources, you can see under analytics, this is where you would add the events and get the conversion data with the GA4 integration as well. But we have the manual uploads option also. So you can just upload a CSV file. We also have it's available to download as a template, so you can kind of see how it's set up. But again, this is just another way to get that extra information into the tool, to get those extra charts, dashboard, columns to help prioritize your issues. So again, if you don't have the GA4 connection or you don't use Google Analytics, this is another way to kind of get that data into the tool to give more insight. Another new feature we have on all reports is the breakdown charts. So you'll see these at the top of any report you click into. It's a new dynamic visual that just breaks them down into a different view. So you can see there are little drop downs above each of the chart as well. So you can change those, which I'll show you here in a second. But this just helps you quickly understand the themes and patterns and kind of break it down into actionable pieces of work. So if we go over to view this, these are the defaulted ones. So URL components, status, indexability. You can go in here and change these to, whatever you want. There's a bunch of options and you can change each chart to kind of see. And another really cool feature with this is if you click into one of the charts here. So if we want to just do 200 pages, it'll automatically add a filter to status code equals 200 status. So you can get granular, dive in deep with the issues that the breakdown charts show you, and you can really see by filtering with the click of a button as well. We also added a crawl safeguard. So this is something where there are kind of two parts to this. So it'll help you crawl the crawls complete quickly and efficiently. The first part is in the crawl progress window. We have the two new visuals here of the response codes in the last 5 minutes and the failure rate. So what these show is it'll show you the response codes that we're capturing and how many of each in the past 5 minutes, and then the percentage of pages that are failing in 5-minute increments. So this will give you a little bit more insight into the crawls as they're running, as opposed to having to wait till the very end to maybe see if pages are failing or if you're getting a lot of, unexpected response codes. So it increases visibility into the crawl as it's running. And another neat feature we have here is the safeguard itself, so the overload threshold. So you can edit this in step 4 of the crawl settings under advanced settings, or you can edit it on this crawl progress page. So what this does is if you turn it on, it's defaulted to failure rate of 50% will pause the crawl, but you can change that to whatever percent you want. So what this does is if you're not paying attention, if you're not looking in this crawl progress window, it'll pause the crawl if that threshold's met. So if you change it to 10, if 10% of the pages fail in a 5-minute span, it'll pause the crawl. You'll get an email saying, hey, the crawl paused, where you can come in and look at it. This will kind of help with, maybe kicking off new crawls or just any crawls in general that have unexpected behavior where it's failing at a higher rate than normal or at all. And then you get notified as opposed to having to wait till the very end of the crawl to maybe see that all the pages failed and the data not be usable. And then, obviously that uses a lot of URLs as well. You probably saw the little tab at the top as well, but we added segment trends to the reports also. We've always had these top 6 segments on the top of the reports, but now we added trend lines to go with those as well. So it'll help you get additional insight into the key trends for the most important pages. So you can hover over them, you can click into them, which again, I'll show you right here. If you go to trends and segments, if you click into these, you can remove some of them. So if we don't want the ebook segment, webinars and events, we can remove those as well. So again, it just goes off of these top 6 segments that we pulled, but it just gives you a trend line so you can see how they were performing over time. Whereas this example is pretty steady, but you can kind of see how they have been if the particular report is increasing over time, decreasing, or it's fluctuating. Another thing with that is we added the logarithmic view for this. So you can toggle between linear and logarithmic views with those segment trend lines to help it make it easier to interpret from specific reports. So you can just change this here to however it's visually best for you. You can kind of see and interpret that however you wish. So you can toggle these on and off right here. And again, these tabs that I had mentioned, you can toggle through to see different things related to the reports is included as a related report section. So anything that relates to the report you're in will be there as well. Another thing we had added was when setting a crawl on a cadence or editing that schedule, we added it down to the minute level as well. So before you used to be able to set it to the hour or the half hour, we now change those increments to 5 minutes. So if you want to kick off a crawl at 5:15, you can do so now as opposed to just 5 o'clock or 5:30. So that can be edited to current existing schedules or changed to the 5-minute increments for new schedules you want to set up. We also added for our Protect app tests in the test suites for health scores. So it's set up the same way as all other tests, but you can do it specifically on health scores. So whether it's SEO or some of the subcategories such as rankability and indexability, you can set those up and have a fail or warning alert sent to you if it's less than a certain score. So if you want your score to be at least an 80 out of 100, you can set it to be less than that, and you'll get alerted if that score does drop below that. And with Protect, as always, if you have this set up to integrate with your CI/CD pipeline and it's your pre-production site, this will stop the build if your score is lower than that. So just another test you can choose when in the Protect app as to how you can test against those. And again, if you are connected to your CI/CD pipeline, stop a build if it's below what you wanted it to be. This one is specific to site speed projects. This is the critical request chains. So when you go into site speed tool and you click into a URL level out of an opportunity, you go to the page detail page, and in that you'll see the critical request chains in the audit section. So it helps you identify issues more effectively to improve FCP and LCP. And again, when you click into it on the side navigation here, you'll be able to see the avoid chaining critical requests, which is where this will populate for you. So another level of information added on a page level for the site speed projects to, again, help identify the issues more effectively for FCP and LCP. This one is particular to the accessibility crawls. So we've always had the robot TXT options in the SEO crawl, but this one is specific to accessibility, whereas you have the option now. So it's ignored by default in the accessibility projects to help ensure that the tests more closely simulate the browser behavior, but you now have the option, which will be in step 1. So if you scroll below the accessibility settings where you choose a user agent, WCAG level, and so on, you'll have the option to ignore the TXT for navigation and resources as well. This should also be in the advanced settings in step 4, but we have it on the first screen as well to make it easy for you to find. And those are all of the new features that have come out over the past few months. So I will pass it back to Z for what's coming next.
Thanks, Chiz. Yeah, some really cool stuff that we recently released. I think I'm most excited about conversion rates. As you said, the prioritization is amazing, but also just going that step closer to being able to quantify the effect that your SEO fixes are having on your website and your performance, which I think is a really cool next step to have it all in one place, which I'm really excited for. So safe harbor statement quickly first, just a reminder that some of these timelines are subject to change when we sort of go through the roadmap now. Yeah, so just have a couple seconds to just familiarize yourself with that. Otherwise, we can just quickly move on, Eric, I think. So what's coming up over the next sort of 3 months going into sort of the rest of the year as well? So the first one with report data visualization. This is effectively the additional visualizations within Lumar reports. You might have noticed some of these with what Eric went through with some of the tabs. What we're trying to do here is just improve your user experience and the time it takes for you to get insights from within the tool. Also helps with understanding the data a bit more and prioritizations of issues. I think there's a lot of data points obviously within the Lumar platform. So being able to have a snapshot of potentially some of these more critical items, or being able to prioritize a bit more efficiently, it's definitely a welcome addition that we've made. The next one is the AI-assisted custom metric creation. What this effectively is, if you're used to custom extractions, it's very similar, but we're sort of giving the power to the user here. And it's the ability to define your own custom metrics through extractions or transformations without the need for regex or XPath. So if that's always been a barrier for you historically, and you're not really familiar with regex, now could be potentially the time when you don't need that anymore, which I think could be really cool. This just simplifies the process of creating some of these metrics, gets you the data a bit quicker, means you're spending more time with the data rather than trying to get the data itself. The next one is quite a big one. We'll go to semantic relevance first before I go to the conversion update. Semantic relevance is going to be a new feature that will be, it leverages embedding and semantic analysis to optimize content and page structure. I think this is a really cool one. We're trying to give more data that could help boost SEO performance through content relevance and improving the user experience. So that one will obviously be quite a large project that we're working on. So I'm excited to when we have more information to share about that one when it gets released. Eric already touched upon the manual upload for conversion data. Yep, so we're just giving the power to upload effectively if you've got a different platform other than GA4. So whether you're using something like Adobe Analytics, or I think Snowplow is also quite used quite commonly, and you want to get that conversion data within Lumar, the ability will be there for you to do so. And then the final one for analyzing data before I go into actioning data is the URL level crux. So at the moment, we started off with Lighthouse within the SiteSpeed platform to get you lab data. And then we moved into your origin level crux data. Now we're taking that step into URL level. This is to give additional insight into performance of the website by leveraging both the sort of lab data that we've got, the overall field data, and then the granular field data through this as well. So it's that next logical step. It will give a bit more insight and more actionable data effectively to make well-informed decisions on performance, while bearing in mind the user as well as search engines. For actioning data, so the first one with project tags, this will be the ability to add custom tags to projects. This should help simplify project management within the Lumar platform. So if you've got an account where you've got upwards of 10, 15, 20, maybe even towards the hundreds of projects, this is that nice sort of way to sort of tidy everything up. You can add a tag, whether it's based on a market, whether it's a specific website, maybe a specific brand. And that way, anyone who's coming into your account, they're not so overwhelmed by just seeing a load of list of projects. Now they can filter by, if they're working on a specific brand, let's say, they can filter by that brand, as an example. We're also in tandem with this, updating our user permissions. So being able to limit user access to those specific tags. So if you've got a team of, let's say, 10 individuals, and 3 of those individuals work on brand A, and then another 3 work on brand B, you'll be able to just make sure that those first 3 only see brand A, the second 3 only see brand B, for example. So you should then be able to have a bit more flexibility as to who you add to the platform and who can view specific types of projects. So the next one with report pattern detection. This is an automatic identification of patterns in URLs and report results. So for anyone who's been leveraging segments, we know how sometimes that can take quite a long time. You want to identify which segments you want to use. This could actually help with a lot of that. It might identify most of your subfolders or your subfolders and so on. It just improves that sort of time to insight time. We'll do the pattern detection for you, so you don't have to necessarily do it manually. Helps save you time, and then you can break that down into maybe more actionable tickets as well. The Jira integration for the task manager. So this would be the ability to link through Jira from within our task manager itself. So again, another nice little quality of life time saver. We think it can be quite powerful. Most, if not the majority of individuals have either heard of Jira or used Jira. It's I think the next right step that we need to do to really integrate into wider organization workflow and make life a lot easier for the SEO and help other parts of the organization be more in tune with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And then the final one with AI dashboard help. This is AI-powered summaries of issues and data. So again, we're doing a lot of sort of improving the time that you get insights. In this case, we're providing a textual summary of dashboards and reports. So just to make these large data sets a bit more manageable, where you can tackle into specific issues that you think might have the most impact rather than having to guess. That's everything that's coming up. A poll question now. Would you like a one-to-one session to dive into any of these features or what we have coming in soon in more detail? So something should pop up soon. There we go. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to do that before we move into some questions. So questions, I can see one that's come in. Sorry, Eric. I can see one that's come through around conversion data. And so is there an extra cost associated with adding conversion data? No, there's no additional cost here. The only thing to keep in mind is that collecting conversion data might increase the amount of data we collect from GA. So as Eric mentioned earlier, crawl finalization times might be slightly longer. But beyond that, no, it's just adding an additional data point, which we think could add a lot more context to the data within Lumar. And I think that's the only question that came through. So a nice easy one for the host today. Thank you. If you go to the next slide, Eric, and then we can do a little bit of wrap up. So just a reminder, for the January platform, I know when mentioned this earlier, the on-demand webinar, you can access that where we went through all the different things back in January. Next webinar we've got scheduled 23rd of April 2025. That's the next webinar we've got for e-commerce SEO, preparing your peak season success. Yes, so that would be a really cool one to do. That's with Pat from our account executive team, Richard Barrett, who's head of our professional services, and then John Earnshaw from our partner Pi. And then obviously, if you need anything throughout your time between webinars, there's the help center where we've got lots of bits of information, guides, and so on if you need to look into anything in a bit more detail. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope it was a useful session and hope to see you all next time in the next webinars. Thanks. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone.